Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, fellas, what I have going on tonight is I'm going to try to answer some questions for some people about these 460 heads. And they're questions I had to ask myself because I think I forgot more than I know about this stuff now. I used to run the older stuff back in the day, the 70s stuff, the early dove heads, and that's what these are. And then I wind up with a late model engine, and it had these heads on it. So I had to get myself familiar with them. I didn't really want to because the dove heads is what we always went with. And the reason being is because people always ran pretty good with them. The main thing about the dove head is that it had a smaller combustion chamber. And it's not really a smaller combustion chamber. Hang on, guys, I'm trying to turn these heads around. It's just not as deep. It's a 72 cc, and these have a much larger combustion chamber. They're deeper, and therefore you have to get the same compression out of these E7s. You'd have to do quite a bit of milling on them. How much? I haven't found out yet, fellas. It's probably, I would say, at least 25 thousandths, maybe more, to get the same compression to come up. But guys, I'm going to tell you something. These heads right here, the E7 heads, I'm glad I stumbled across them because I don't even want to bother with these dove heads anymore. Just the way the exhaust empties out so low, and you have to do so much to them. In another segment, I was raising the exhaust port, and I was going to fill the floor in. But guys, why should I go through all that trouble when these are already like that? And I already did a video about that, so I don't want to turn this into the same video. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm just trying to compare the differences so somebody didn't see the other segment would have this without looking back. So I'm going to just get off of that. And the main reason I did this segment tonight, somebody asked me what size valves are in the late model ones. And from what I know, any of the fuel injected heads, which would be the E7s, they have a smaller valve, fellas. They take, from what I've found out, the intakes are a 2.00 and a 165 exhaust. And I've seen other information where they've been a 1.9. So I don't know if that's a misprint or if people don't have their facts straight, because I'm still learning about these guys myself. The combustion chamber, like I said, all I know is I have to do a lot of milling on these to get them to have the same compression. And also another difference, fellas, would be, of course, I didn't mention, with the plug. This has the older style plugs in it, and these are more late model, like your newer stuff has the smaller type plugs. But here's where the other part comes in, fellas. Is the most crucial thing about, if you want to try to mismatch and go with the E7 heads, the first problem you're going to have that you'll notice is if you put these on without knowing what you're doing, the valve covers are different. An old style valve cover will not work on this E7 head. It takes a bolt throw valve cover, and the bolts are in the center. where these are old school. They're on the outside, like anybody my age is used to. But fellas, these valve covers here actually are really nice. They're thick and they seal well, it looks like to me. So that's what this will be getting back on these, because I'm not going to do anything fancy and try to come up with any kind of late model valve cover and do anything stupid to it to make it fit. So these are be getting cleaned up, and that's what I'll be using. So that's one of them deals. And another difference, fellas, if you go with the E7 head, as you notice, these already have screw-in studs. These don't. So you would have to have these machined if you wanted to do that. They're pedestal. So that's another difference. And I'm trying to cover things, remember everything, fellas, about them. Because like I said, I'm still learning some of this myself. But here's the most crucial thing, guys, is this right here. If you just try to go with the E7 heads on a Dove type head, then the intake is not going to match up. This is the intake gasket, and that's off the E7 head right here, and this is an early intake. This is my stuff that was for the Dove heads. So I would have learned this the hard way, fellas, if I didn't look things up and figure things out. But here's what we have, fellas. I thought maybe, I started looking into this and they said they didn't quite line up. And I thought, well, I'll modify them. I'll make them line up. But guys, these are off so far because it's all good stuff. The problems you run into with the E7s, because what's going on here, guys, they have a raised port on the intake and the exhaust. So you're really getting a performance head if you do the other things to accommodate it. And it should actually make more torque in a mud truck. But guys, this is how much it's off. I'm going to center it here. That's centered for the port, and you can see, okay? And when I line it up with the holes, that's how far it's off, fellas. I hope you can see. That's how much this would run off on the Dove head. So that's a problem there. If you want to go with a carburetor, this is going to be a little bit of an issue, right, fellas? So what I'm going to do, I want to show you the performer that I got for the E7s. I'm lying, guys. It looks like a performer, doesn't it? This is the bottom half of the fuel injection intake. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to adapt the carburetor to this. But let me show you this real quick, guys. This is what I was showing you with the gasket. You see how it lines up on this. And the reason I want to show you guys this is because I want to make sure that when I show you something that you understand what I was showing you. Sometimes I forget and you're like, well, did that gasket fit the other intake? So I wanted to show you this is for this. This came off of this. Okay, guys, so I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I'm trying to cover most of the bases here. But getting back to this, guys, I was going to save this for a later segment, but people are asking me questions, and I don't want to be where they're trying to find information out. That's the whole idea of my channel, guys. But look at this, fellas. The only thing I don't like about this is the floor is very shallow here. So if I was to run nitrous, that doesn't give that a whole lot of room to disperse the nitrous. That's my opinion about that. So what I'm going to do with that is, of course, it's going to be getting the adapter on it. Let me take the insert out, way you guys can see better. And I'll have to have a plate machined. They actually sell a plate for this, guys. I haven't really checked into it. I think it was like 50 bucks when I saw it. But they do make an adapter for this already. And if I find something that's for that price, I might wind up getting that myself. But I like doing things myself. But anyway, fellas, you can see how much bigger the plenum is than the adapter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a spacer. I'm going to raise it up, probably at least 2 inches. I'll take it from there. And I'll probably just cut this back a little bit in the plenum right here, maybe notch it. I'm undecided. I'm not worried about that right now. But what I'm just trying to do, fellas, is show you fellas, if you want to go that route and go through the trouble I'm going through, and I think it's worth it. I'm so confident in these E7 heads, fellas, I'm going to sell these, the Dove heads. Since I've compared the ports, and if you make the adjustments to these E7 heads, I can't see these not outrunning these heads. I can't see these heads not doing anything that these heads have done. And I know there's guys that supposedly made 750 horsepower with these. But I'm going to tell you guys, on a rule of thumb, as I always say, I can't see an average Joe making that kind of horsepower. I can see somebody like John Causey doing it and doing all the tricks to them, but the average guy, I can't see but maybe 600 horse out of them. And I think somebody knowledgeable could easily get that. But on an average guy, 500. But I'm going to tell you, ported and with the work done to these E7s, I can't see why they won't do anything, because to me they're like a performance head, all but the combustion chamber and the spark location. But the spark location, I showed you guys that too. It looks like it's really far away, but it's actually the same as the Dove head. And as I brought up in the other video, I might as well run this by you guys again. If you're going to work a pair of heads, these are the simplest heads. I have a video out already. You might have seen it. That's where you might have got the information on these here for me to do this segment. But these heads here just don't need the attention in the exhaust port. And to me, that's the most crucial. And as far as a mud truck goes, the ports are so much smaller. But if you have something you're only turning 5,000 RPMs or 5,500, I would think the throttle response would be even better with these heads because of one reason. Not just because they're smaller, because that's not always the case where that actually works in your favor. But what does, fellas, they actually put a swirl design in these late model heads because they are fuel injections, is what I've seen. And that's not coming from me, guys. That's coming from things I've looked up and read. And the information's out there, but it's sketchy, and it's hard to find out who really knows what. That's why I'm trying to pass on information that I have found out, and trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys that are interested in this stuff. And of course, anything I find out, fellas, I'll be sharing it with you. I actually remembered what size the combustion chamber was, and then I forgot. So there's chances are you guys watching me know more about the size of this combustion chamber than I do. I can't remember if it was 92, something like that. If I remember right, if I had it figured out right, if I knocked 20 or 25 thousandths off, I'd have it down to where the Dove heads would be. But don't hold me to that, fellas. You guys are intelligent. I'm sure you are on the same page with that stuff. Most of you guys know as much about that as I do. So, I hope I covered somewhat of information for you fellas with this, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make it my segments where you guys know something more after watching me than you did before you turned me on. So, anyway, guys, that's where we stand. But getting back once more, fellas, I won't change my mind on these. I don't care what I have to do. I think these are going to outrun these. I have 2 sets of these, guys. Like I said, these are going for sale. I just can't see me wasting my energy and time. My son went through a lot of trouble to get these for me. He was so happy when he picked these up. He worked a lot of deal to get these heads for me. Money was involved in parts, and I believe I think we actually traded a Windsor for it or something, if I remember right. I can't remember. I forget, fellas. We do so much wheeling and dealing with this stuff. But anyway, guys, I hope this was helpful. If you have any more questions, just leave a comment. I'll try to get back to you guys. I've had a little bit of trouble getting back. I've had a few people ask questions, and I'm a little late getting back to you, but I will always get back as long as I see the comment. Sometimes I don't see it. But like I said, I hope this was helpful, guys. And if you need to know anything else, just like I said, leave it in the comment section, and I'll try to get back to it. All right, fellas, have a good night, and thanks for stopping in to check me out again. Take care.